No, thank you guys for being here. This is our last week of classes. I know all of you pretty well, and I know you could be anywhere right now. So the fact you chose to be here and show some love means a lot to me. I hope you enjoy it. I think a lot of you know this. Before Kellogg, I used to perform a lot, and I feel like when I got to Kellogg, I kind of like bottled that up and put it on the shelf. And I didn't want to graduate without sharing like what I do with all of you. So I've written 5 poems tonight. They are part of a series that I call "Why Did You Go to Business School?" And it's like a joke about whenever someone asks me that question, which is like all the fucking time, just like all the different things I think about. I hope you enjoy. I hope this is entertaining. I hope you get to know me a little bit more. If there's a poem you really like, or a line, or a metaphor, or whatever, I'd love to hear that. We can talk about it. If you absolutely hate it and you think it's cringy as fuck, just don't tell me. Lie to me. Okay? Tell me it was great. The first poem is, I actually have performed this before, so some of you have seen it. And when I decided to do tonight, I read it. The poem is about when I was a first year student, what it felt like being at Kellogg. And when I read it, it didn't really like resonate. I feel like I've grown up a lot since last year. So I'm still gonna perform it. I added a few lines that are kind of like about second year, which I'm sure you'll pick up on. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I should probably also introduce myself. Sorry, I'm David. I'm a second year student, full-time, 2Y, MBA, business school candidate, a middle school graduate, a biofuel advocate. I'm kind of cool, I rap a bit, have fashion sense, plus I sit in the back of classes and I've done a few acid trips, which makes me stand out from the average kid. But around here, it's cooler to be good at practice sets and be passionate, which makes it hard to tell the difference between having friends and happiness. The scene is really about whose ass to kiss, and I'm not into giving rim jobs. So consider this a laxative. I got some shit I need to get off my chest, let off some stress. And the thing about Kellogg is there's not that many places where we can self-express, which is why I booked out Prairie Moon. And notice no one else is performing tonight. I don't like to share the room. I don't want to scare the room, but over the last 2 years I've made some observations that I'll be sharing very soon. For starters, you know what really gets to me? You know that feeling when you're standing in the hub, right? Like in Geese Plaza by the stairs, and you're standing and you're talking to someone, right? You're facing each other and you're talking, and they're looking over your shoulder, and their eyes are darting around the room from front to back. I really don't fuck with that. That and how all the guys here, the way they dress, it's like tech bro or lumberjack. Or how Chicago is cold as fuck, so I have to take a shuttle to class and then a shuttle back. That's a lie. I take Ubers and find friends to split the sum of cash. I spend my weeknights at SGDs with girls yapping about hookups that don't love them back, and boys talking about how they want some ass. Wish I was done with that. I was at one just the other night with this guy giving Benedict Cumberbatch, going on and on about college football and his trucker hat, showing people pictures of his Bumble match, talking about how he's stressing out over a job interview for a job that he don't even want to have. And I'm sitting there with no idea what I'm going to be doing or where I'm going to be living after graduation. It's really draining. All the conversations about compensation, the endless daily ritual of filling out these applications, watching all of my friends share the good news with their parents while my dad is waiting. But thankfully, my dad is patient, because after class is finished, this won't get easier by any stretch of the imagination. At least now, I can distract myself with all the Saturday night ass shaking. The costume parties I go to making fashion statements, the runs I post on Strava for the kudos and congratulations, the constant barrage of particle invites I scroll down to see who's on the guest list just for validation. This fascination with my reputation, it isn't healthy. but it's a defense mechanism, an adaptation. So I don't have to confront my actual situation. And don't act like you don't know what I'm saying. We're all guilty by association. The thing that's nice about second year, I guess, is people stop caring as much. You know, stop spilling the tea, stop sharing as much. Either that or we just stop comparing as much, because it's hard to give a fuck when real life is staring at us. And fair enough. I mean, this shit stresses me out. Like I don't smoke often, but it's nice to have a friend with a vape, or a pack of Zins, or a pack of Camels, and another friend who knows all of the gossip and the smack and scandals. Because my lunches are packed with panels. Get out of class and scramble to the next class pickleball matches that I have to cancel. Plus, I'm trying to get cool with that clique that all wear slacks and flannels, so I act financial. And that other clique with the cute girls who like matcha lattes and wax candles. It's simple, really. You know who's cool at business school? By how many likes they get when they post on the Hot Take Slack channel. Bad example. A better one is who you're sleeping with. Because the dating scene is like a mating scheme. It's convenient. First you get a job, then you wait and see patiently as the girls go through the list from A to Z and choose who's the easiest. Because everybody wants to be those two figurines on the top of the wedding cake, but ain't nobody give two fucks about measuring the ingredients. Or worst off, you're the rebound when the season ends. So I gotta cross her name off my shopping list as soon as so-and-so is seen with him, right? It feels like business school is more like high school than college. Like the classes are more about the grades than the knowledge. And the parties are more about who's invited. It's symbolic, because it's all about healthcare, but private equity is the hottest. I don't know what else to call it. It's like a popularity contest where the winners are the people who are married or sponsored or who carry an air of very accomplished. It's barely modest. I mean, we pay a fortune to go to a private institution so we can go get blackout at a charity auction. I guess that's the American promise. It's diverse, right? But when I walk into the hub, if I dare to be honest, I see different ethnicities sitting together like vanillas, cherries, and chocolates. Forget mandatory compliance training. What we need is a therapy office. And forget a business school. This place is a social experiment. You better play along, or you risk social embarrassment. And I don't want to sound spoiled, like I know I should cherish it. But sometimes it just feels so claustrophobic when you're soaked in the narrative. So, I would encourage you to change your perspective. I think it should be cool to discuss readings from our favorite electives. Let's make it cool to pivot careers and change your direction, to focus on social impact, education, and environmental protection, to chase our childhood dreams instead of chasing perfection, to uplift our classmates when they're facing rejection, and to celebrate their wins when they make a selection. And while we're at it, let's make it okay not to be cool and to break the convention. Because I don't want to be cool. I just crave your attention. Thank you. I'm just going to keep going, yeah? I will get a little bit closer to the mic. I just hope it feels really loud to me. So, as long as it's still clear, yeah? This is okay? Okay. This is a poem that a few of you have heard. I performed it, I curated this year. It's kind of about the dating scene at Kellogg and like my experience being a single guy here. So for anyone who's been through the dating scene and like knows how silly it is and all that, for anyone who's in like a really healthy long-term relationship, good job. This poem is called, well, I'll just go into it. I came to Kellogg to find a wife. Okay, that sounds kind of cringe, right? You don't go to business school to find a wife. If anything, You go to business school to start a business, right? But you see, I think there are similarities. I feel like dating in your 20s has a lot of parallels to launching a startup. You have a hunch, you really have no historical data to work with. So you're just making it up as you go. Dating in your 30s is more like M&A. You both already have your own business. You're trying to see if you're compatible, if there's synergies and organizational benefits to bringing your lives together. And then there's dating at Kellogg. This shit is like ETA. Everyone is a potential investor. And if you're single, you're making your pitch to get acquired. Trust me, I'm worth investing in. I have healthy margins, zero debt, several years of monthly recurring revenue, and a reasonably low headcount. I welcome the due diligence. I get it. You're investing. So you have to do your research. Because there's a thin line, right? Like, I prefer a woman who appreciates the finer things. But there's a thin line between a girl who has good taste and a girl who has her eyes on things. A thin line between a beautiful smile and teeth whitening. Between making a return on your investment and being told, sorry, we're no longer hiring. When you think about it, there's a thin line between fresh produce, trash, and recycling. Between drinking and dancing every weekend and that spiraling. Between turning 33 and feeling like I'm expiring. A thin line between choosing a business partner who's tiring and a partner you can build with, who lifts you up, who's inspiring. So it's important you recognize the difference. Because if you invest in the wrong hookup, you might be stuck in the red for a whole quarter. Honestly, I have to remind myself what really matters. Because loneliness is temporary, but settling is a life sentence. That's why I need a partner I can have hard conversations with, more than just some nice presents. I'm done playing it safe, fuck the white fences. I want to dive into your financials and talk about our long-term career goals. Let's throw all of our insecurities on the table until the table breaks. That's just table stakes. I want to build a workplace culture where it's okay to make mistakes. No judgment, just mutual understanding, a stable base to build upon. A colleague I'll enjoy having coffee with every morning when the thrill is gone. Because sex is cool. You know what's cooler? A killer mom who's philanthropic and real involved so we can raise our children together in a chill and calm environment, free of manipulation and entitlement, the type of smile that makes you squint, not no type of sprint. I'm looking for someone with whom I can save for retirement. I don't know why on earth I thought business school was where I'd find her. I mean, all the girls here are married or taken or God-forsaken. They're absolutely perfect for me. But I've idolized this woman I'm looking for so much, the qualifications have become a burden for me. Scrutinized every line of her resume until it's uncertain for me. Searching apps to find a worthy match feels like purgatory. I guess thinking about my dating life in terms of acquisitions and leverage just isn't working for me. Maybe I don't need to optimize the funnel or find my dream job by the time that I graduate. Maybe it's better to just close the spreadsheet and trust that the right partner, the right co-founder in this wild little enterprise of adulthood, that she's already out there, moving toward me at her own cadence, carrying her own ambitions. So no, I did not find a wife at Kellogg, but I did learn how to spot a good investment and that my elevator pitch needs some work. But more importantly, I learned I don't need to rush the process because what's meant for me will recognize me without a pitch deck. And what's meant to be is already hard at work. How you guys going? Should I keep going? Do you want a break? No? Keep going? All right.
Keep going.
It's cool because a lot of you have never seen me perform before, so I don't know. I hope you like it. This next poem is not really about Kellogg. It's more about like why I quit my job. And I think when I got to Kellogg, I don't know, I had a good job, and like I feel like a lot of people like were like, "Why'd you quit?" And I guess writing is how I sort through the way I feel about things. So I've never performed this. I've never shared this with anyone. I think it's a little bit long, and I apologize for that. But I hope you like it. I like it. So it's called "Can You Hear the Music?" This is a poem about the music business, which is two things really: the music and the business. On the music side, growing up, I loved listening to hip hop and studying Mandarin Chinese. I spent my weekends downloading mixtapes on DatPiff and watching marathons of Dragon Ball Z. I fell in love with freestyle rapping the same year I learned calligraphy. Must have been around then I had a life-changing epiphany. It hit me like a symphony. See, music has this way of stimulating every inch of me, but language was my second love. The wordplay, the imagery, and learning to speak Mandarin, it changed the game implicitly. Because when I started rapping in Chinese, people looked at me differently. It didn't matter I wasn't perfect at it. Are you kidding me? What I lacked in my tones, I made up for rhythmically. When I turned 20, I wrote in my diary that my goal for my 20s was to be the #1 rapper in China. Well, I'm not in my 20s anymore. And big surprise, I am not a world famous Chinese rapper. I'm a business school student doing an open mic free of charge at the local pub in Evanston, Illinois. If that is not failing, I don't know what is. The thing about failing is it's so much more musical than success. And that brings me to the business side of the music business. When I turned 30, my job title was Vice President of A&R at Warner Music Asia. I was responsible for all the talent scouting, deciding what artists we signed and connecting them with producers and songwriters. Basically, my job was to deliver hit records. My boss's title was President of Asia. He made over $1 million a year, had regular dinner meetings with the president of Spotify, flew business class to hang out with Coldplay backstage in Singapore, and lived in the penthouse suite at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. He had been divorced 3 times and was estranged from his family, but hey, his resume was insane. One day, he called me into his office. I had just closed a deal with a Chinese superstar and he wanted to congratulate me. We were chatting and he told me, if I kept at it, in 5, maybe 6 years, I could be next in line for his job. It sounded like music to my ears, but there was dissonance hidden in his ambition. Every executive I've ever met is medicating on something. The next deal, name-dropping celebrities, getting their 10,000 steps a day. Somewhere deep down, I recognized his wordplay, and I realized it just wasn't the genre I grew up listening to. So no, I didn't ever get to take the stage in front of thousands, but I built a career putting artists on stages. I didn't reach my North Star, but I got close. I signed the #1 artist in China, flew him out to LA, and A&R'd his debut rap album, which went on to be the top-selling album in China that year. I remember sitting outside, out back the studio, after we finished the 3rd song of the album. And he asked me what it was like to pick up a girl at a bar. He asked me what it was like to take a woman on a date. He told me he worked so hard to accomplish his childhood dreams, he sacrificed everything. He said he never got to have a real relationship. And since the age of 14, his management company had scripted every day of his life. And then he asked me if I wanted to have a family, and I paused. I said, yeah. He looked at me and he laughed. I said, David, you're never gonna settle down and get married. That's not the life you chose. I got mad at first, defensive, but as I reflected, I came to realize he was onto something. See, this isn't a poem about the music business. This is a poem about hearing the music. I thought you knew this. Come on, David. Can't you hear the music? You can't hear the drums, the horns, the hubris? I mean, you spent 10 years rising up the ranks of Warner Music, the youngest vice president in the company's history. You broke the corporate blueprint. You put together the #1 album in China twice. You got the awards to prove it.
You worked with Ed Sheeran and Dua Lipa. I thought you were important, doofus. I thought you could see beyond the chords and movements, see how the deals are structured, how labels misreport the units, the dark side of brand and tour recruitment, where ghostwriters use the force to clone hits like George and Lucas. No, you can't ignore the music. I can see it in your eyes. You think it makes you more than human. You gotta admit, it's sort of stupid. The music business is like any other business. The only difference is the product is a human. And that human is performing a culture people like consuming. And that consumption skews the trends in distribution to the point that music isn't really about the songs as much as the institutions, the algorithms and platforms that control who wins and loses. So if we're being real, this isn't even a poem about hearing the music. This is about learning to listen. See, there's a price to this life. And for most, it's unaffordable. I used to bring Asian superstars to LA to make albums. That's a California roll. 10 years down the toilet bowl. I put my all into my work. I don't know what I expected in return, some memorial. Power is proportional. When you don't own your ideas, you come to realize employees are all disposable. The assets are recordable. They only pay you a salary because they profit off of your cortisol. Your timesheet is territorial. What? You think your company cares about you? That's adorable. It's more than metaphorical. I've had bosses take all expense paid trips to Portugal, then refuse to reimburse flights for their artist touring Seoul. The double standard is horrible. So if you're really listening, tell me, what melody do you hum to yourself when your childhood dream is no longer in tune with the person you're becoming? Maybe the bravest thing you can do is thank your younger self for getting you this far and turn the volume down. Sometimes you need to turn the volume down to listen clearly. I finally started listening and I realized my song isn't done yet. I mean, the intro was sick. The first verse, bars. This MBA, it's just the bridge. And I can't wait to hear the next chorus. What about you? Can you hear the music? I see a lot of eyes. I think people are into it. Yeah. I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, I'm gonna just keep going. Yeah, cool. Okay. All right. This poem is a little different. It's kind of silly. I thought about how to what my preamble should be, and I'm just gonna quickly do one check. Does everyone know what LSD is? Yeah? Does anyone? It's a drug. When you take it, you put it on your tongue, and you start tripping, right? Yeah? Okay. It's helpful to know. You are at Coachella, you know. This is yeah. Actually, this was the first poem I wrote. This was I wrote this last year after I was microdosing on LSD in a business meeting that I was leading, and that might have a hidden meaning. But I didn't have time to overthink it. That'd be self-defeating. I just wore my mask and played along like I was trick-or-treating. Anyways, I was tripping balls in this boardroom. And all these old white men were asking me questions like a courtroom. Cutting headcount, we were about to make layoffs and more soon. Moving people around like mannequins in a storeroom. To be on the inside, what good fortune. A seat at the table is worth more than a forked spoon, right? Wrong. It's really more like a torch fume. It'll be your guide in the darkness or turn you into a corpse soon. Trust me. I've seen plenty zombies walking around them offices. Brain dead, power tripping assholes talking shit. the last humans on Earth you'd want to be stuck with in an apocalypse. Novices masquerading as monuments, acting dominant when really they lack competence, accomplishments, and common sense. So they project their insecurities onto colleagues to boost their confidence. And as a consequence, they drain the oxygen out of every room they're walking in. Be careful who you surround yourself with, lest you latch onto it. Because office politics, it can damage your zen. Put you into a trance where all of a sudden the narrative bends, and it's tough. We spend more time with the people we work with than family and friends, so it can be hard to tell where the madness begins and my sanity ends. And you might say, yeah, but David, a job is a job. And that's true. I can't debate that. Show up, do your work, collect a check. I can't shame that. For some people, it's just lap after lap on the racetrack. But one day I realized if that's all I make of life, I would hate that. I had to learn not to confuse who I am with my employment. Because when a job title becomes your idol, you've got to destroy it. The goal is to learn how to swim, not just to stay buoyant. And no, I don't suffer from my mental illness, I enjoy it. And at this point, I realized I was really tripping out in this business meeting. Like, everyone's faces started looking goofy. I remember my boss's tie, it slowly unknotted itself, and then it retied itself into a noose. And everyone's heads were nodding in slow motion in unison, like their necks were on hydraulics. And then the PowerPoint started rearranging itself into a skyline, and then a mountain range, and then it started melting. We were looking at this graph that measured every artist on our roster by their contribution margin, right? Like how much money they were making the company. And I was having trouble staying focused on the big picture. I was thinking of all these dreams that I had, like this Big Dipper. I could hear the music. It figures. Taking a tab of acid on a workday comes with a big kicker. But I had to make it look like I was paying attention and fully present, while little did my colleagues know they were being my trip sitters. All right, look, the point is that drugs are great. Or maybe they're not. Because when you start using drugs to escape, you're in a dangerous spot. And if you can relate, then entertain me this thought. Is there anything more intoxicating than a job that pays you a lot? I did not take LSD in my work.
Yes. There's still time, David. There's still time.
Maybe I did, you don't know. Wow. I got one more poem for you guys. Also, thank you again for coming. This is so, I really appreciate it. I really hope this is entertaining and that you're like, it connects with someone. I don't know. This poem is for you guys. It's about graduating Kellogg. I don't think anyone else would appreciate it, so I appreciate you guys being here. Actually, Harris made a comment to me yesterday that like being vulnerable, it's like it's what it's about. This shit is, I'm gonna try to be vulnerable with you guys. Yeah, you were saying your talk was gonna be about being vulnerable, no? Yeah. You did say that, just for the record. So, I hope, I actually finished writing this one today, to be honest, after like seeing everyone else talk, so I'll just shut up. Okay, I don't know the name, I guess I'll call it North Star. I started journaling when I was in high school. It's wild looking back at what I used to write to myself. Love poems, battle raps, weekly goals. When I turned 20, I wrote in my journal that my North Star for the next 10 years was I wanted to be the #1 rapper in China. My goal, like this ridiculous goal that I set for myself, was that when I turned 30, my goal was to be a Chinese rap star.
It's funny. They say reach for the moon, and if you miss, at least you'll land amongst the stars. I really live that shit. I did not become the biggest rap star in China, but I signed the biggest rap star in China. I made an album with him. I didn't hit the center of the target, but I got within the rings, in it. When I turned 30, I wrote in my journal that my North Star for the next 10 years, my goal, when I turned 40, was to be sitting on my back patio, sipping coffee, watching my 2 kids play in the backyard. That's what I'm reaching for. What about you? Do you know what you're reaching for? Like, have you ever asked yourself, what's my North Star? I hope your answer is fear. I hope when you look up at the sky at night, you look for the thing that you're most afraid of, and you reach for it. You chase after it. Because fear doesn't knock twice. You can either plug your ears and pretend not to hear it, or you can follow it. I hope you chase your fear. I hope you ask it for directions. And I hope you follow your fear until you overcome it. And that you're honest with yourself when you know you want it. Because it's easy to distract yourself with Miller Lights on Tuesday nights, but it's hard to admit it when you've overdone it. And even harder to accept that no one's coming to save you from this grave you digging. And that's proof your cup overrunneth. See, privilege isn't having the financial means to live like kings and queens. Real privilege is being blessed with challenges that motivate you to do the work and grow from it. And that's so 100. A lot of you are going to shrug it, but acting like you don't know what I'm saying is a load of rubbish. If your purpose slapped you in the face, would you lean in or would you roll the punches? If your purpose was in your pocket, would you reach for it first or would you reach for your wallet, your keys, or where your iPhone and gum is? The silver lining is a golden nugget. What is your North Star? Do you have a constellation that guides you? A childhood dream that's inside you? Or do you have guilt and shame on your heart that you hide through? Vices you confide to, lies that you find true. I mean, we all have those dreams that keep us up at night, but do you ever dive in, or would you rather drown them out with a high noon? When you look up at the sky at night, what do you see? Evanston has some great stargazing. Some of the brightest stars I've ever seen. You just have to go out all of the time and be in the right group chats to see them. There's a lot of shooting stars. The thing about shooting stars is shooting stars aren't great for getting a sense of direction. And next to those are the dead stars. Do you know what those are? Did you know some of the brightest stars in the sky are already dead? You're just seeing the light they left behind. We all know the type, right? Burning bright on the outside, long gone on the inside. Well, that's why you have to keep track of your North Star. Because your North Star is only valuable if you can see it. And goddamn, my North Star, it's up there shining next to 524 of the brightest purple stars I've ever seen. So when I'm walking back from the hub, sometimes it can be hard to remember my direction amidst all of this light pollution. You have to make time to get away every now and then, to get a good view. Just don't go too far. We were thrown into each other's orbit, been revolving around each other for the past 2 years, and the gravity of our solar system is only as strong as the number of celestial bodies that stay close. It's just science. Like, I don't really believe in astrology and all, but business school is kind of like a black hole, right? There's a gravity that pulls you in. Everything accelerates and time moves differently when you're inside the bubble, but nothing that enters leaves quite the same. Trust me, I know. I come from a galaxy far, far away. My LinkedIn reads like science fiction to most of the life forms in this solar system. Signing rappers in Shanghai doesn't exactly land in Chicago. But that's what happens when you throw the right people into orbit together. We terraform each other, slowly, without even noticing it at first, until one day you look around and realize, this feels like home. It's funny, they say a rocket requires more fuel to launch than to travel the stars, which explains a lot about these past 2 years. All of that energy just to escape the atmosphere, and how challenging it feels to separate from our launch pad. The suspense is killing me. So, why did I go to business school? I don't actually have a good answer. I don't know. I can make up a bunch of shit. But the truth is I applied, I got in, I decided to go. Why did you go to business school? It's a tough question, right? I mean, I'll literally write an hour of mediocre poetry to explain how I feel and still somehow manage to avoid answering the question. I don't know why I went to business school. What I do know is why I like to stargaze at night. See, when I look up at the night sky and I see my North Star, it gives me a sense of direction. It reminds me how far I've come and how far I still have to go. It reminds me I had dreams and ambitions far before I came to Kellogg. And no matter how bad the storms get, a North Star doesn't move. It outlasts the clouds. And trust me, I've had some cloudy nights at Kellogg where I lose track of my North Star, when I feel lost, when I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing, when my social anxiety eclipses my gratitude. Like, why the fuck did I go to business school? But then someone says something stupid at dinner, and I'm laughing so hard I can't breathe. And suddenly, this breathtaking constellation we've strung together through late night Ubers back from the West Loop, PowerPoint SGVs, bear fights at Big Ski, and impromptu walks along the lake fill, it breaks through the clouds and reminds me how lucky we are for all the starlight in this solar system. Kellogg didn't give me a North Star, but it did give me dark enough skies to finally see mine clearly, like a compass to navigate all the unknowns that lie ahead. So no, I didn't find my wife, or my dream job, or some other justification for these intergalactic tuition bills. But I found this, and this sounds like music. Thank you.